I have to get this before I lose it. I have to get this before I lose it. The tornado, the tornado of souls is swirling. I want to talk about the difference between the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. Because for the past 200 or 400 years, we focused so much on the letter of the law, much to do with what we ascribe to Cartesianism. You know, whether right or wrong. The fact of the matter is that the mythos has always preceded the logos, insomuch as the story, what we can't put our finger on at all. We can take this class, we can take that class, great. Meanwhile, some dude who failed out of 5th grade, who's running fucking bucket loaders and dump trucks, those big massive dump trucks in fucking landfills, right? Dude reads it like a 3rd grade level. And he's driving around like fucking 20 tons of steel and fucking rock, you know? And just like, do. It's a good life. That's a good life that people don't talk about. And 1 in 10 of those dudes, and there's a lot of them, 1 in 10 is a storyteller, right? At coffee break, at lunchtime, you run into him at the store. And they're the guy who owns it. Sometimes they're not the best worker, and sometimes they are. Every so often, in a trade, if you're a tradesperson, right? So if you're a tradesperson and you're, working among multiple trade companies, so I'm a painter. I work for multiple designers. I work for multiple architects. Me under my boss. That's to say my boss works for, I work for my boss. So I don't mean to say like I have, my boss is a painter. Right? If you saw me and him walk into the paint store at any given day, some days he might look better, some days I might look better. Not many days these days, but like if you didn't know us and you weren't in the trades, like you wouldn't know our strengths, you wouldn't know our weaknesses, you wouldn't know the way in which we complement each other, right? You wouldn't know, depending on the day, the way that we talk to each other. You wouldn't know if we love or hate each other, or both. Sometimes among even business relationships, there's a love that runs so deep, it dare not be spoken. And I'd never dare speak it to my boss. But I do dare speak it to you 100 years from now, or 10 years from now, or whatever. I don't know. I know my boss knows I love him. But when we're all trying to make bank, like, people don't like that bosses make more money, right? But to my mind, I want my boss to make money. I want him to make more money than me because he's taking his spare time to like set up appointments and like do estimates. Like, God, I don't know how many estimates he doesn't like get the bid on, you know? I don't know that. But I know he's always driving around. I know not all of his hours are quote unquote billable. I know that my workman's compensation and my, bosses have to pay into like the state unemployment. It's almost like it's basically it's a state regulated insurance that isn't named that, but that's what it is. But anyway, like, and the thing about him versus me is that he's ironclad, right? So he's a guy, I'm a guy. He lives his life with an extra zero, which to me is a lot. But I also recognize how many more zeros up there are. And I also recognize how many zeros below the decimal point there are, right? Lost my train of thought, but the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. So people talk about the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution. Now, people these days are decrying the Declaration of Independence and decrying the Constitution, right? And for good reason, right? In so much as though those who decry, right? Now, this comes down to truth and reconciliation because it may seem as I'm being confrontational to a viewpoint. And I guess you could say I am. But yet, I also wish to praise that viewpoint. That viewpoint is centered around a demographic, and that demographic is quite young. And I felt the way you did. So I'm just going to say it. All right. I guess this is just my I want to get on with my argument, but I just have to insert this point that if we only look at the literal or assumed literal interpretation of what the founding fathers wrote, we are lost. We must read between the lines. Why did all those white dudes, all right, the founding of the country, because people are rebelling, right? It's good that we're pushing over the monuments of the Confederate soldiers, right? This is the way we parse, because there's insanity going on in the left and the right, right? And not to mention, too, this is what's super interesting, because in the left and the right of America, there's this super opposition happening, right? But then kind of super or hyper politically in the world versus America. All of America's liberal and conservatism is considered by the global, I'm going to coin the term, I don't even have the guy's name right, but the Dugan Mersheimer, the dude who 4 years back was given lectures about everything between Russia, Ukraine, and NATO, talking about the Georgian conflict. The dude, I think his name's like Jack Mersheimer. I call him in my mind Mersheimer. I don't know what his name is, but like he was giving lectures at Yale. This 3-part series, 4-part series 12. I mean, guy's made a million motherfucking videos, right? And he called it like it was. And now, this is the big important thing, is that what he's calling for the future. Because what he called already, it's kind of like when Benjamin Fulford said that Fukushima was going to get fucking blown. And then it blew, right? That's why I followed that motherfucker down down the road. I ain't proud of it, but that's just what happened. So. But anyway, a Yale guy. I mean, I'm talking about a guy who's speaking at Yale, right? You know, he called Afghanistan 3-4 years before it happened. He's like, it's just a matter of time. It's the only question about Afghanistan is how long before we pull out and the Taliban takes over. Called it, you know. And then the whole like NATO expansionism into Russia and the Ukraine and like what would happen, and like the dude fucking hit it on the nose. Now, is that prophecy? Is that prophecy? It's analytic, kind of. We're used to prophets being all like, blah, 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 you know, and the cow jumped over the moon, right? So if we heard a prophet, right, if I made a nice scroll, gave it gold embroidery, cow jumped over the moon. If I did it emphatically enough, yeah, people would be like, yeah. But then Jack Mersheimer was talking at Yale, and he's like, this is going to happen, 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 eat your potatoes. And your greens. 3 squares a day. Hibbity dibbity. Baloney is meat. You know, just simple facts. Like right in a row. Called it. Afghanistan. Ukraine. Slamming. Now, as it so happens, the way he describes liberalism, for instance, he describes George W. Bush as pretty much the epitome of the expression of the nationalistic perspective on liberalism. So, and if you're like me, when you first hear that, it's just like it doesn't make sense. Because to the Yale, Jack Mersheimer, and Russia, Alexandria Dugin, who's written like 60 books. The Mersheimer dude, about the same. Give or take a few hundred, you know. Never mind articles, appearances, videos, interviews. So, well, first of all, the absolute iron spike, the fucking Casey Jones, fucking John Henry, motherfucking Yasuki point of this video is nobody else is putting those two names together in political philosophy, right? What people call political science, which is, there's only a handful of people that I would put into the category of philosophers of. What did I just say? Because there's philosophy of science, philosophy of history, history and philosophy of physics and mathematics. Like, there's all these different subjects skating around each other. But back in the day, that's what philosophy meant. So nowadays, philosophy means studying old philosophers. Back in the day, philosophy meant studying everything. And that's what philosophers talked about. Even Plato, like, I deride Plato more than I should, right? I deride Plato. In everything I've ever said, I've derided Plato more than I should. He's the one who, for whatever reason, has been kept. And for whatever reason, is both for whatever reason and also for whatever reason. But there's a lot there. Because everything else was burnt. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Just kind of beside the point, like, what's wrong with Plato? This, that, yeah. Plato, he's got the claim, he's got the documents, but that's the whole thing between the spirit and the letter of the law, right? What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is for those in any way caught up in the quote-unquote Western intellectual sphere. If you study pretty much any subject in any depth at all in the West, you're going to come across Plato, Socrates, period. And you're going to come across at least once in your life, like the sentence that, like, a sentence akin to Socrates is the more or less godfather or grandfather or father of Western philosophy. Which is a joke and a hoax. I'd call it idiotic if Greece didn't have a long history of the appreciation of what they called the idiot and what we later called the joker or the clown or the jester. The thing about the joker or the clown or the jester is that's their job. That's how they're getting paid. Now, I'm an idiot. I'm not a joker, I'm not a clown, and I'm not a jester. I don't get paid at court. I don't get paid by a benefactor. I go to fucking work doing shit that, well, actually sometimes I enjoy. If I have a particularly nice podcast on, or with when I'm with a particularly congenial crew, or interplay of crews. For me, it only happens so often. The rest of the time, I try my best to be on best behavior, you know. But mostly, I kind of slug through the day, trying to make it happen. Trying to make it happen at work, so I can get my dough. And besides that, getting home, getting still. Even if it requires a pot, or 2, 3, 4, 5. The difference between the spirit of the law and the letter of the law. Whenever we encounter those who are disregarding the spirit of the situation and cling to the letter, we know we're in trouble. Now, the letter is important. I shouldn't say whenever, but often, or most often. There are exceptions. We act as though the spirit of the law is a secondary object. No. And that's about the poetry of language. Even within scientific language, there's a poetry, there's an expressiveness, there's a word choice. Why we say this word rather than that word, right? For instance, I'm on a little bit of a Mary kick. We gotta raise Mary up. Protestants think she's too far up. Catholics think we gotta get the Protestants to raise her up to where we are. I think, right, you know the seed by its fruit. No, wait. You know the fruit by its flower. No? You know the tree by its flower, but you know the flower by its tree. If and when it's flowering. Do you see the seed on the ground after it falls? Or the flower petals? Last year's leaves? Sometimes they still blow in the breeze. Even 9 months later, even while buds are blooming. Sometimes, some of those leaves, they never touch the ground. They fall on a roof. They get caught in a crevice. And time does to the leaf what it does right there on the roof, never having touched the ground. It becomes part of the soil. Through the water. The spirit of the law, the spirit of the law, the love. Now, this. What if we had opt out truth and reconciliation courts? I've been watching a lot about international law lately because of everything in Ukraine and Russia, and obviously United States, China, and so on. Well, the Johnny Depp thing just came up. I'd never heard of Amber Heard before like a week ago. And now it's like the best fucking TV show on the fucking planet, right? Poor motherfucking guy. Poor motherfucking girl. So far as the spirit of the conversation that I'm watching, I don't know, I just stumbled on it a few days ago. I didn't know there was a thing. And then I was scrolling through YouTube and it was like Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. So I was like, what's up with this? And I've always loved Johnny Depp. And, you know, from being younger and all. So and then I was like, it was just like, I remember my grandmother and my mom, they always watched All My Children. And they watched Loving. I remember they watched Loving. I think that came on at 11:30 or maybe 1:30 or 12:30. Yeah, I think Loving came on after the midday news at like 12:30, and then All My Children, Susan Lucci, and I think her name was Haley. I can't remember, but it was Regis and Kelly. Yeah, that the Kelly from Regis and Kelly. She used to be on All My Children, and I remember the first time I saw her, she was listening to like either Aerosmith or Guns N' Roses. I can't remember, but so of course I was instantly hooked. But really, I always loved Dixie and Tad. Dixie and Tad, they were my favorite. So fucking what? I was a little kid, man. Dixie and Tad. But so far as daytime Emmys go, fucking, and I feel bad for saying, like, see, that's the thing, man. We think of entertainment as entertainment. So, like, I'm watching this fucking, you got audio, you got I mean, there's more information about the 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 Johnny Amber. There's more information, there's more documents about the Johnny Amber than there is about the fucking JFK assassination. There's more. I mean, everything scientifically, like text, it's just it goes all over the place, like data wise, gigabytes. There's like fucking 10,000 times more gigabytes over 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 Johnny and Amber than there is over JFK. Now, which is just like a way of critiquing. This is where I'm coming from. I'm critiquing it. It may sound like I'm criticizing it, but I'm not. Why? If we stand back from the definition of politics, so far as I understand, and it was only because of Artie Lang's book, The Politics of Experience, that I even looked up this term, 20-something years ago. And it took me a good 10 years to even come to any kind of consideration of what this even meant. But politics means the moving of people. We have truncated the definition. So that's the thing, we're trying to create things new, which is good. But we forget to look back. Some things in the past are worse. Some things in the past are better. And as far as the etymology of the word politics is concerned, even if it's a posthumous etymology, which this isn't, some will argue it is. Anyway, the letter of the law is meant to, alright, the spirit of the law is the most precious drop. The spirit of the law. Because so often, all right. How do most people think of lawyers? They're scumbags, right? But yet there are really virtuous lawyers. Right? Obviously, being a good lawyer is much about being a good rhetorician, a good storyteller. In the mythos, we should connect rhetoric with what in the logos we call relativism. There's a logical relativism, background independent. In the mythos, there's an intuitive, which is sensorially immediate, rhetoric power, let's call it, for lack of a better term. Which is to say, when someone says something funny and they got all the fucking juice, that's it. It doesn't matter the politics, it doesn't matter the political correctness. Like when someone's on it and you hear them and you're like, you know, when someone nails it all the way down, right? To the prostate, if you got one. That's the rhetoric of the mythos, which is equivalent to the relativism of the logos. On the mythos side, you have the moral of the story, which is associated with Aesop. I believe rhetoric is much associated with Aristotle. My understanding, from a stepped back view, but my understanding is that Aristotle is best understood, interpreted through iamblichus. If you're Christian, through Aquinas, or, see, that's the thing, I don't even remember, I mix up Aquinas and Augustine. But through the Catholic Church, peer toward iamblichus, who properly interprets or clarifies Aristotle as related to Plato. So if, I can't even remember, isn't it Aristotle rhetoric? Isn't it Aristotle who writes famously about rhetoric? If we're to understand that, because rhetoric to a purely idealist, a pure idealist looks at rhetoric as shit, right? But there are no pure idealists except one in time. So to be rational as a mythic being, you are a mythic being. Why? Because you are human. I don't know a lot, but you're not gonna fucking ever tell me that we ain't mythic. The story counts. The intuition counts. Why does it count? At the fundament, because of moral truth. The spirit of the law, the letter of the law. The letter of the law, right? The spirit of the law has never been fully protected. It's always a movie. See, that's the thing you don't understand. The spirit of the law and the lawgiver. The lawgiver itself, in time, itself with a capital I, the ego, the I am, right? The I, no, the I am. You. This is what I'm saying. No one ever says it. No one ever admits it. But what I'm saying is that you know. Maybe you've told people, maybe you haven't. Most folks haven't hovered above the waters of the deep. Some have touched down to the deep. Right. And then you rose to hover above again. But if we think about it too much, society will crumble. If we crumble, the only thing that hovers above the waters of the deep in this world dies. We cannot perish. We must go on. We must survive. And when people say, oh, it's so incredible that we're the only thing in the universe and it doesn't make any sense, but at the same time, exponentially, the middle of the universe is approximately the size of a single cell. In the same way that, like, the Richter scale of earthquakes goes from 1 to 7 and each step is 10 times more. Exponentially, the size of a single cell is the midpoint between what we can measure all the way down and all the way out. All the way in, all the way out, all the way down, all the way up, so to speak. So far as radii are concerned, where we are the center, kind of. Spirit of the law, the letter of the law. The letter of the law is the building. The letter of the law is the armor. The letter of the law is the tanks we place around this object of truth. The spirit of the law is the law. The spirit of the law is more the law than the letter of the law is. Whenever there's a question between the letter of the law and the spirit of the law must be recognized. And as far as that relates back to, like, the founders, like that Hamilton musical, like, people are harshing on Hamilton for having slaves. What I'm saying is, say you're a guy, right? Think about this. Think about this for 2 fucking seconds. Say you're a guy like Hamilton, who I'd like to think is a guy like me, or I wish I was a guy like him, right? Thinking this way. Came up from nothing, beat down, broken, blah, 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 but smart as fucking shit, smart as a whip, you know? He could do it like this. He could do it like this. He could do it like this. You know? He could do it like this. He could do it like this. Yeah. Came up from nothing. Got some dough. What do you do with that dough? What do you do with that dough? What did he do with that fucking dough? Wrote shit anonymously. Built this whole motherfucking thing. Oh, and then he bought slaves. White dude. I'm a white dude. I'm just going about my business. Trying to shake things up, trying to make things happen. I came from elsewhere. I came from myself down. I came myself from between the thighs of a fucking whore. Or at least, if that was the, right, like that's a bad way to say it, but I got the diction right. So, because I got the diction right, it's well to assume in that type of environment I might have heard that once or twice, right? Bastard son. Spirit of the law, letter of the law. It's a barricade, it's a city. We have this gem, we have this treasure. We have this soft egg. We have this soft pupa. We have this soft worm. We have this soft seed. We have this soft embryo. We have this soft child. This soft child. Sorry for being like that about it, but we have the soft child. Spirit of the law. Why are there so many words in the law? Because we don't trust the Spirit. We know it. We know it when we see it. We know it every motherfucking time. And there's all kinds of shit we don't talk about in our family. There's all kinds of shit we all know and don't talk about between friends. There's all kinds of shit we don't talk about that we know at the workplace, all around. Incest, rape, murder, petty theft, punking people, duping people, taking more than you should. You joke about it here, you brag about it there, you deny it in the other way. Then church on Sunday? How do I know? That's me! And every other motherfucker I ever met. I won't testify to that, but pretty close. But the spirit of the law prevails. And what shines the soul? I mean, philosophically, we're just about entering the Third Testament. Religiously, we're about entering the Third Testament. There will be they call Plotinus, Neoplatonism. What is coming is an intermediary period of Neo-Aristotelianism, which is based upon Iamblichean Platonusianism, which, right, so that was like a whole sentence, but it actually is like really defining, like that's actually a term, you know. It can be shortened in certain ways, I'll work on it, but like what a few people, and I only say a few people have called because not many people are talking about it, but like Neoplatonism is actually, like, it's a misnomer. It's Iamblichean, Platonusian, Neo-Aristotelianism, de Heraclitus via Plato. Alright, I have a bias. I gotta work on it. I know. There's a lot of good shit there. The whole lysis thing. I'm excited to. It's a short, so far as I. Well, so far as I can so far tell, lysis, Plato lysis, which is where the whole. I believe, so far as I've seen, it's hard to parse all this shit out, but see, that's the thing. I harsh down on Socrates, man. I hate a lot on Plato and Socrates, and I don't even know that much. But I do know, or I think so far, like begets like. Like, I remember that from a kid, we remember all these quotes, but never. We may have never heard the source in the first place, but quote after quote after quote, Socrates, like begets like. Socrates, like begets like. Socrates, like begets like. Socrates, like begets like. So, lysis, I believe it's Socrates lysis, Plato lysis, because there's no books about Socrates, this, that, whatever. It's all pretty much Plato. I don't know if there are other sources for Socrates. I haven't looked into it that much, because once I read the Republic of Plato, I determined that all of his work is complete fucking shit, and I will never fucking read it. I've backtracked a bit, but basically Plato's Republic rubbed me not just the wrong way, but all the wrong way. Yeah, read it. Wait till you get to the end. And imagine yourself as the weakling. Imagine yourself as David. End of fucking story. Plato. Oh, God, I wasn't going to be like that today. I kept telling myself, I got to be nicer to Plato. I got to be more accepting of people. What happens? And I do. I have to work harder on that. But a lot of that, animosity and, pushback is just saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Do not call, quote unquote, Neoplatonism. No. No, 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 no. It's Iamblichean, Platonusian, Neo-Aristotelianism from Heraclitus through Plato. Condense that. I mean, good luck. Ye. See, that's the thing about rhetoric. I was going to say ye rhetoricians, right? But that's the thing. There are noble rhetoricians, because in the same way that quantum physics and relativity, I can't remember if it's special or general. All I know is that in the two most successful forms of science, there's a disagreement. But what I also know is that there is an overlap. There is an agreement, right? So there is a Vesica Pisces. There is a Venn diagram. There's something to do with the numbers of the math, no matter how small. Still using base 10, more or less, right? We're still using more or less the same geometries. And this is the most important part, we're more or less using the same erroneous, not irrational, rational, which is just trigonometry. We're not using Norman J. Weilberger's trigonometry in relativistic and quantum mathematics. All physics is underpinned by the quality of the mathematics. The quality of the mathematics is absolutely 100% all right, I'm a crazy fuck, I'm this, that, I'm a drunk, right? I'm a drunk. I like to drink, you know. But I don't care if I die fucking 30 years early. If that means instead of spending my time fucking counting how many steps I had that day or this, that. No. Don't get me wrong. I actually do want to be healthy. But, like, I don't want to make the choice of, like, do I say the truth or be healthy? Like, I want to make the choice, like, I kind of like to say the truth and be healthy. But if I had to choose, God help me, you know, it's kind of like when people say, like, if you're stranded on a desert island, what movie would you choose? I'd be like, the one that comes with a lifetime supply of, like, lunch. You know? Like, that's a movie I want, you know? If I'm stranded on an island, which movie do I want? Which one comes with cake? You know? Or beans. But spirit of the law, letter of the law. The letter of the law is the fortress we build around that precious, tender child, son, daughter. Like, the letter of the law protects the child, protects love. And in that atmosphere between the love we're protecting and the letter of the law is that spirit of the law. We must always listen first to the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law. You can take on all kinds of spirits. I ain't saying listen to the spirit. I ain't saying listen to whatever crazy you got going, right? Same with me. I'm surprised I'm listening to myself now. I'm feeling bad about my neighbors and stuff, you know. But, you know, I've had some wine, so it's like I got the gift of gab and liquid courage. I hope I'm not disrupting my neighbors though by talking too loud. We talk about the letter of the law and we talk about the spirit of the law. The Third Testament's about the soul of the law. And it's going to take another, you know, couple thousand years to get to it. That's the project. That's what I'm doing. And if you get what I'm saying, you know, that's what you're doing. I'm not asking for your money. I'm not asking for your vote. You know, just, yeah. It's not even, and that's the thing too. This is the crazy part. It's not like I'm just adding my 2 cents, which I might say from time to time, but no. I'm just telling the truth, and I'm hoping to reach the it's my job to do this, to reach those who it reaches. I don't know the scale, I just know it's important. Whether I reach 1 or 1 million. Not on my behalf.